Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Hello, everybody. We are getting ready for take 2 of the Starship integrated flight test. I'm getting dings and bings and everything else.
And most of it's you. That's what's funny is all my phone will bing here in a second telling me that we just went live on this thing on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yes, welcome to Scrub Launch 2023.
We're just waiting for SpaceX to come up.
Yep. And, I almost didn't want to come in here and do the show with you because it almost never fails. If I show up, they scrub the launch. Okay. I've probably sat here and watched at least 20 different scrubs with you and maybe 6 launches.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that I'm a jinx for rocket launches. And now that I think about it, I've probably cost ULA $17 billion in scrubs just by showing up and watching them scrub a rocket.
Yeah.
All right. For those of you who don't know, take 2, SpaceX is trying to launch the Super Heavy with the Starship on its maiden test. It's not really a voyage.
Maiden flight.
It is a flight, yes.
Maiden flight
Joe,
of the booster.
You were telling me they don't go outside the atmosphere with this thing?
No, they go outside atmosphere, but they don't make a complete orbit.
Right, because it doesn't make it all the way back to
base. So that considers it as suborbital.
Really? Because they don't do a complete orbit.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the idea behind this is they're going to launch it, and they get the big Super Heavy booster with the Starship on top. It's going to go out over the ocean, and somewhere, it goes up about 50 miles or something like that?
This is going
40,
to
50, 40, something like that.
120.
Oh, the Super Heavy goes up 120?
Oh, Super Heavy, it gets up past Kármán line. So
okay, so it'll go up over 80 then.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it'll drop off the Starship, the test Starship. And then it'll come back, and it's going to splash down somewhere about 20 miles off the coast of Boca Chica, right?
Yes.
Something like that. And they're not recovering it. It's going to splash in, and I don't know. Well, I don't know if they're going to try to recover it or not. I think they're just
they've actually in the flight set launch license. It says if it doesn't destroy after it lands, they're going to open valves up and everything to let it fill with water. But if it doesn't fill water, they'll go out there and shoot it with small arms.
Why aren't they going to try and drag it back and recover all those Raptor motors? I mean,
well, when a Raptor engine only costs you $500,000 to build now.
Yeah, but there's 33 of them on the thing. I mean, even if they only recover half of them.
Well, they're not built with.
Must be nice to be a billionaire.
Yeah. This has hydraulic thrust vectoring. All the others will have a electric thrust vectoring.
Oh. Well. Oh, so these are actually like test engines, and they're going to something newer.
Yeah.
This last year's model. That's what you're trying. Okay.
No, this is 2 years ago model.
Yeah, really. So anyway, once it gets up there, it's going to draw off Starship. Starship's going to go up, and it's going to shoot across underneath Cuba, north of Cancun.
Yeah.
And then it's going to head down over South Africa. It's going to come up along the bottom in between Australia, Malaysia, and it's going to go up north of Hawaii, where it will do a belly flop splashdown.
Yeah.
Somewhere north of Hawaii. It's going right past Hawaii, basically, on our side of Hawaii.
There is music in the background of this, so I can't play that. But
ooh, that one blew up. See, nope, that one's going to blow up too. Let's see if this one makes it. Here it goes. It's going to land. It's going to land. Oh, nope, it blew up too. Okay. You know, I'm thinking he got his start designing fireworks. Okay. Anyway. Now, for those of you who are watching this video and wondering what all this is all their infrastructure at Boca Chica in South Texas. It's right on the Mexican border. And
that was the 33 engine static fire. And that was the Starship static fire.
And here they are doing the stack. Now, this is neat. They got the tower with they call it the chopsticks, those two arms that are holding the rocket, putting it in place. And if everything goes according to plan, one of these days, that thing will catch rockets as they come back for landing.
On your screen is a live view of Starship as it awaits its second attempt at our first ever integrated flight test from Starbase, Texas. If all goes well, we hope to see our Starship spacecraft and Super Heavy booster, which we collectively call Starship, lift off together for the first time in exactly 33 minutes from now.
Can you turn up the volume
Thanks
on
for
that just a
tuning
little bit?
in. I'm Kate Tice,
All
Quality
right.
Systems Engineering Manager here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California.
And I'm Shiva Bharadwaj, a space operations engineer here at
Hey,
SpaceX.
didn't we see
If
them
you've
Monday?
been following along,
Yep.
you'll know that we stood down from our initial launch attempt on Monday.
Oh,
And I've
look at
noticed
t-shirt.
they
a
are
frozen pressurization valve on the
a
Super
little
Heavy
more
booster.
relaxed in their dress
SpaceX teams
today.
investigated
Really?
the issue
I
and
want that
determined
t-shirt.
that this valve had some moisture in it, which caused the valve to freeze up when we were loading super chilled liquid oxygen into the booster.
Now, these valves are super important because we actually need a pressurant to go back into the tank as we consume propellant. And we actually use a pressurant that comes from the Raptor engines.
So after
It's
they
heated
fill this
down
thing
there
with
and then
fuel
put
and
back
test
in
and
the
everything, do
tank.
they rinse it out with
So a
water?
frozen valve there would be a problem during the launch.
Yeah, and that's important. You can think of it
Because
like
he said they
drinking
got some
out
water
of
in the
a
valve. I'm wondering if it
thin
was just a whole
plastic
bunch of
water bottle.
condensation.
If you're
or they
chugging that
actually,
water, it crinkles if you
clean
don't
out
let
the
air
inside.
back into it. So we use that hot exhaust gas from the Raptor engines to refill that consumed volume as propellant is depleted. So it was a great find by the countdown, and that's why we have a countdown, is to allow us to find those
These
issues
are
prior
live
to liftoff.
shots.
So
Really?
all of that
They're
being
flying
said,
a
our teams
drone around
learned a
this
lot
thing.
over the last 48
Yeah.
hours, and
And
we
as
are
it comes
ready
in
to give it
close, I want
another
everybody here to
go.
pay attention.
As
That's
many
the
of you
top
know,
of the
Starship
rocket. That's
is the latest and
yeah.
largest
top side of
vehicle
it.
developed
The bottom
to date
side
by
is covered in
SpaceX.
these little
It will be the
hexagonal
world's most
black
powerful launch vehicle once fully
ceramic
developed
tiles
and have
that
twice
is the
the
heat
thrust
shield
of
for
the
reentry.
Saturn V
The black
rocket.
side you see is
But
actually
the
the
key
bottom of the
breakthrough
thing.
with Starship is that
Yeah.
it will be fully reusable and capable of carrying up to 150 metric tons of payload to orbit in a reusable configuration and up to 250
That's the
metric
Starship.
tons when expendable.
Now, for context, Falcon 9 is only partially reusable. We recovered the largest part of the rocket, that's called the first stage, but we don't recover the second stage. And Falcon 9's heaviest payload to date is just over 17 metric tons. So 150 to 250 metric tons on Starship is an order of
And
magnitude
that's both
greater in
pieces.
terms of the
That's
payload
the Starship
capacity.
and the
Now,
Super
for
Heavy
today's
booster.
test, we
Yeah.
will be the first of many as we work towards
And for
transitioning
those of you who
Starship
don't know,
from a
this will be the
developmental
most
into an
powerful
operational
rocket
program.
ever launched
And the
from this
primary
planet.
objective today is to
that
gather
we know
as much data as
Yes.
we can around the fully integrated
Scary
vehicle.
in
Now, while
itself.
we have flown the Starship
And
spacecraft
we just
in
got
the
a big
past, it is going to be
thumbs
the
up
first
from
attempt
Brian
of
K.
Super
Morris.
Heavy and
Hey.
the first opportunity for
Hey,
us to
Brian.
validate how the two vehicles operate together.
We are so excited for this.
And I
the
have
purposes
room.
for today's flight,
You know,
we will
I have-
consider any data
not
received
confirmation,
that
but I
helps
have
inform
upon
and improve
good
future
authority,
builds of
we may
Starship
actually be
as
having a
success.
guest come in.
From a milestone
Ooh.
standpoint, our main goal
Does
is
she own
to
a
clear the
cat?
pad. Every
Yes.
milestone beyond
Okay.
that is a bonus. The
Then
further
I
we
know who our
fly, the
guest
more
might
data we
be
can
if she'll
collect.
show up.
Now, if it does
And,
all go
yeah, she's,
well, then we'll
you
expect
know,
the Super Heavy
getting
to
everything
light up
together.
its 33 Raptor engines at the base of the vehicle and lift off,
Ah,
clear the
here's
pad
the
away
animation showing the
down
mission.
from Starbase in Starbase, Texas, and then it'll go into ascent. About 3 minutes into its ascent, we're going to expect to see Super Heavy separate from the Starship. It'll perform a flip maneuver, and then it'll execute a boost back burn, and we're going to be targeting a hard landing in the Gulf of Mexico.
And while that's happening, we hope to see Starship's 6 second stage engines ignite and watch as Starship coasts for about an hour at altitudes ranging between 150 and 250 kilometers.
Watch him have a
before
submarine
re-entering
that
Earth's
recovers the
atmosphere
super
and
heavy
make its
booster.
own hard landing in the Pacific Ocean about
Well, I'll be honest
250-ish
with you.
kilometers offshore.
I would
Now,
drop it
we
10
are not
miles
really expecting many
from
camera
the
views
coast instead
after
of 20.
separation. That is to say, if we even make it that far.
That way you keep it in
But we
U.S.
do
waters.
promise that whatever views we do have, we will bring them to you live.
Yep. We have a couple of ground stations along the way. So if we are able to get good telemetry, assuming we make it that far into the ascent, then of course those will be available on the stream. And also worth mentioning today, like the whole just getting the vehicle off the pad is a complex endeavor. We are going to be trying to reduce complexity by attempting those hard water landings
do have
instead of
Zach-
trying
yeah,
a
you've
normal
got
landing like
Zach's
you're used to on
screen
Falcon
up.
9.
Exactly. We are
Just
not
in
attempting
case
to
for-
recover these
Strange enough,
vehicles,
he's
so
basically
hard
watching the
landings in
same
store
thing
for
we
both.
Yeah.
Now, in a little bit, we'll take a closer look at the vehicle and the launch pad. But first, the teams have been doing
One
a
of the
tremendous
problems
amount of
we
work
have with
over the
doing
last
this
few
show
months. In fact,
is
there's a
that
great shot
when this
of
happens,
the Hawthorne team up here bright and early to watch the launch. Teams have been
when this
prepping
happens,
really
everybody in that
for
neck of the
the
woods
last
starts
few
using the
days,
internet,
especially to try to get in today's launch attempts.
and there's literally hundreds of
And
thousands
here
of
you
people
can see
sucking
a
up the
live
bandwidth.
view of
Yeah.
the South Padre Amphitheater, where both SpaceX employees, friends and family, and members of the public are gathering to watch Starship
That's a
lift
decent
off.
crowd.
And we can see the crowds are gathering there as well.
That's
And of
almo-
course, we
that's
want to give a
almost
shout out
concert
to
crowd.
the SpaceX team. You see them there on
Hey,
screen.
looks like a rubber
members
band.
of our launch
Yeah.
command, our Star Command Center. That is our Starbase
Riverbend
launch
is a
control center.
local
Yep,
festival.
those are the
we
operators
have
today
in
who
our
are going to be
area.
reviewing all the data and, of course, giving us the go,
man,
no
look
go
at
poll,
that.
checking the status to try to get in today's launch attempt just around 27 minutes from now.
And one thing I do want to mention, I misspoke. It's not the South Padre Amphitheater, it's the Cameron County Amphitheater.
Now, the entire Starship structure on your screen is made from stainless steel. When it's stacked, it stands about 120 meters tall. It's about 9 meters around. And we have this awesome video that shows you just how big that is. You can see one of our technicians there doing some final prep work in advance of today's test. And man, there's the 120 meter monster.
The person just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Now, just like Falcon 9, Starship has 2 stages, which we'll talk more about those in a minute. In addition to those 2 stages, Starship actually has a 3rd stage, which we call
It is
Stage
beautiful.
0. It consists of all the launch pad infrastructure built around the rocket, as you can see there on your screen, and it's truly an engineering feat in its own right.
Yeah, we've got a great shot there of the various different components of it. The pad, the infrastructure, all that is required to get into filling the tanks. Now, let's talk about the Super Heavy. Its name says everything. It's super, it's heavy, it's super heavy. When it's
Ship's
operational,
tank
it'll be
is loaded.
responsible for
Good name for it.
power to escape that mighty gravitational pull of Earth that we've got here and take Starship into orbit.
The booster itself stands about 70 meters tall and is roughly the same height as a fully integrated Falcon 9, which is just so crazy to me. But this super heavy booster has a diameter roughly 2.5 times that of Falcon 9, and with 33 much larger engines. We have a
Looks like
beautiful
they
view
just
here. This is
finished
one of my
either
favorite views that
fueling
we're going to
or
get
octane.
today.
It'd be
Those
fuel
are our
that goes in
33
first.
Raptor engines at the base
So
of
it
the
looks
Super
like
Heavy
the
booster.
Starship just
Yep, and you
finished
can see
fuel.
they're in a couple of different rings here. So we've got the outer ring of 20 static engines. They're going to be providing a huge amount of thrust today to lift off the entire stack. But then we've got the 13 gimbaling engines in the middle, and they're going to be providing the tilt maneuvers and also helping to reorient the booster as it comes back later in today's flight.
Yeah, and when we say gimbal, it's basically tilting or almost wiggling the engines a few degrees and in either direction to allow the booster to steer itself, just as you said, Shiva.
And we'll get some great shots later of actually a wiggle test that we perform ahead of liftoff, just to make sure that all those engines are able to control their full range of control authority.
One thing to note, those Raptor engines are completely designed and manufactured in-house. They are, as many of you know that have been following along, they are a reusable methane oxygen
Did that come
staged
across? I don't
combustion
I'll
type
have
engine.
have audio running too about
a
ship's
lot of words
fuel.
there. And ultimately, that staged combustion means that we combust the propellant in stages that we kind of pre-combust them in a pre-burner, and by doing so it allows the engine to be more efficient, i.e. more powerful.
Yeah. Now, like Falcon 9, the Super Heavy has 4 grid fins to assist with orienting itself in its return back
We
to
have
Earth.
a special
We got a shot of
guest
them there beneath the Starship's
Oh.
aft flaps. Now, as we talked about
Good
earlier,
morning, lady.
it's
Good
not
morning,
going to be
Stephanie.
attempting a land
Good
landing
morning.
today.
These
But
are
with this
live
flight test,
views
we're still trying to get as much data as we can.
SpaceX.
We're focusing on the fundamental systems and operations, so that's
That
the
is a
liftoff
drone,
portion.
probably
But we are going to try to get some data on how the fins
within
work
100
for
yards
that
of the
water
rocket.
landing that Super Heavy is going to be making after.
Okay.
I love that great view of the fins there. Now, Starship, or the spacecraft, is the second
We were
stage, and it
watching on
makes up the
Monday,
top
and
portion
some of the
the vehicle.
views that
It's designed for
camera
carrying
views that they
passengers
got on
and
the
cargo
rocket
to
are
Earth orbit
absolutely
and beyond.
amazing.
It stands about 50 meters tall, which is a little taller than the Statue of Liberty. It's comprised of 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea level, and 3 vacuum
I
engines,
missed what
which
you said,
are
Joe.
optimized to operate in the vacuum of space.
Oh,
Can we
okay.
And they
mute her a
provide a
little bit?
maximum of 258,000 tons of
Is
thrust
that a little
in
better? Can y'all
Yes.
still hear?
Spacecraft
Okay.
is
Yes.
Sorry
also
about that.
outfitted with
That's
Oh,
4
she's got an
straps to
earphone.
help
Okay.
aerodynamically
Yeah.
control the
Yeah.
vehicle's
I'm-
attitude, which you can see those 2 forward
All right, now
Uh,
what did you say,
there on your
Joe?
screen
Some
now.
of the views
So
that
they
they've
help
got
control the vehicle's attitude during
for this
atmospheric
launch
flight
is just
and enable
absolutely
precise landing
breathtaking.
at the intended location. Now, one thing we
Cool.
got to mention,
We got to see the sun
shields,
come up through the
they are
fog.
iconic. Starship is wrapped in a heat shield, which is
This
composed
is
of
the
15,000 hexagonal ceramic
test
tiles
of
designed to
the
insulate the
heat
vehicle
shield.
during that atmospheric entry. And that's really important
Okay.
because the temperatures can be as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. The hex-shaped tiles, like the ones
There
that
they
Shiva
are.
and I have, roughly make up about 2/3 of the vehicle. We can see that we have some different shapes. Mine is slightly curved. As you can imagine, it sits on the curved portions of the Starship vehicle.
Now, the one that I've got is a hexagonal tile that's more flat, and it's really used for the flatter structures on the vehicle. And we need a heat shield because when you're coming back in from reentry, we're going supersonic, we're compressing all the air ahead of us. That ends
I
up
would
causing a lot of
say
heating along the surface. And
based-
without a heat shield, that would go straight
okay,
into
yes.
the structure.
You see
Yeah, one
how
thing that's amazing to me,
the
especially
tip
when
of the
I
nose
first
is a
picked up one
slightly
of these
different
heat shield
color?
tiles, is that they're so
Yeah,
light.
it's a-
They almost feel like they're made out of foam. They're that light, and
that's
they kinda
probably going to
sound
be a
like it
carbon
too.
carbon
And one
composite.
thing that we do want to mention, in
They're
order to
it
reject the
sounds like they're
maximum amount of
using heat
during that
shielding very
entry,
similar
like Shiva
to
was
the
just saying,
shuttle.
they're black, and that's
Um,
because black helps
and those
reject
things,
that heat that is building up on the
I
exterior
was
of the
actually
shield.
gifted with a
Now, Starship
spare
is designed for
from
vertical takeoff and
Columbia.
landing as opposed to taking
Oh,
off
okay.
and landing
which
like an airplane.
was
And that's
uh,
because
one of the birds that I
that's
worked
really
with the
important
most.
because we don't have runways on the moon or
And
Mars.
meaning it hadn't
Fortunately,
ever
at
been
those
put on the
destinations,
bird,
the
but
gravity
it
is
had been
not as
expected to be
high as it is
used.
here
But
on Earth.
it was
On Mars, the
Okay.
gravity
it
is just
didn't.
1/3 of what it is
So,
here on Earth, and on the moon, it's just a sixth. So
there
in both of those
there
cases,
were
Starship with just its engines
about
can take
4
off without
different
needing the super
kinds
heavy booster
of
like we
heat
do need here
shielding on the
planet Earth.
shuttle,
Now, for today's
depending
test, Starship
on
does not have
where
its
on the
landing
shuttle
lights
it
attached
was.
because, like we
Right.
said
Yeah.
before,
The
it
nose-
is landing anywhere.
the
And
leading
Starship is
edges had
expected to make a
another.
very
The
hard
nose-
ocean landing, which if
well,
we even make it that far,
the nose
and
had the
manage
nose
to get
and
any
to
views,
an extent
it
the
will
leading
certainly make
edges,
for
I
a
believe,
very exciting end
had
to
the
today's
carbon
test.
carbon composite.
At this point in time,
Then there
we
was a
are,
very high
20 minutes,
temperature
or just over 20
ceramic
minutes from liftoff.
that
Let's check in with John
basically
Innsbrucker for
was
a
about like
status update.
foam.
Hey, John, how's it looking?
That was
Thanks, Kate.
the black.
I'm John Innsbrucker, Principal Integration
Then the
Engineer here at
white
SpaceX.
was a
We're
lesser
currently
heat
loading
shielding,
propellant from the
and
ground
then
system into
the
both the first and second
payload bay
stages.
area
Now, both
had
vehicles use the same
thermal
two propellants.
cloths
Commonality helps build the
because it was
reliability.
on the top and
And
had the
fuel
least
today
amount
is
of
liquid
heating.
methanol, and that's at a temperature of just
Now,
over
the tail
100.
fin had
That's about
some
minus
serious heat shielding too,
272
right?
degrees
It
below
did.
zero
It did.
Fahrenheit
It had
Now, liquid methane
the
isn't
leading
getting fuel
edge
from
of the
outside.
empennage
That booster uses
of the
RB1
vertical stabilizer, especially
However,
had
our oxidizer is liquid
had
oxygen,
the
and that's the
carbon
same as
carbon
Falcon 9.
composite, which
Right.
is that
Because there is no
matte
oxygen in space to
gray
support
black
life, we have
material,
to bring our own.
like we saw on the nose here.
Now, leading up to where we are
Um,
right now, we had a go-no-go poll that was conducted just after T-minus 2 hours. And once the team gave their goes, We started loading propellants on
Oh.
booster at T-minus 1 hour and 39 minutes.
They've already had the go no go call,
T-minus
and it
1
all
hour
would
and
go.
22
So that's
minutes,
good.
Yeah.
We began propellant loading.
Anyone no go would have
on the screen right there.
Yeah.
Now propellant
Scrubbed it.
loading.
Well, it's
of the
looking
Starship
good for a
second
launch
stage main
today. It
tanks
was when we first
completed
tuned in
at
a little
about
while
the
ago.
T-minus
It
27
was
minute
foggy
mark, at
and
which time we
couldn't
then
see the
began
launch
loading
pad.
the 2 header tanks in the nose.
It's
of
still
the
not
second
real
stage.
great because you've got a
T-minus
cloud deck
3
there
minutes, when
as
the
the
first
fog is
stage
lifting,
super heavy propellant loading
and
completes.
that's
That means
not
we'll have all the
necessarily a good
propellant on
thing
the
because they
rocket.
can't really
The vehicle will
see.
be fully loaded with over 10 million pounds of propellant.
All right, we're
Now,
coming
right now,
up
at
on
T-minus
the
19
sticky
minutes
valve
counting from
time.
liftoff, the weather and
Yeah.
winds are looking
Um,
good.
you know
We
what,
have been
guys?
watching
That
ground
that
level wind. They're at 18
you
miles
will
an
hear me
hour.
make jokes
As the
about
morning
leaking
continues,
valves.
they will increase, but
That
that
is,
is
it's
below our
just a
limits right
common
now. We're also
problem
looking at upper
when
altitude
you're
winds. We're
working
waiting
with
for one more
cryogenic
balloon, but we
fuels
believe
like
that we're
that.
going to be
Yeah.
go.
Because your
On the
ambient
light
temperature
vehicle
is one
itself, the
thing,
team,
but
good
your
news,
fuel
they're
temperature
not
is
working
way
any issues
lower.
right now.
Yeah.
And so
But
that
if for some
results in a
reason we
thermal
do not make our
gradient,
test flight today, if we have
and
to hold,
you can
we
easily
have a
wind up
backup
with
launch
with
window.
leaking
However,
stuff.
we're not sure when it would be.
Oh,
It
yeah.
could be
Um,
24
Plus,
or
having
48
the
hours
fog
after
in the
today.
area
It'll
actually
depend
puts
on how
more
far we get into the
moisture
countdown.
into
But right
something
now,
that
heading
could
for a
really
Who
possibly
ordered the,
leak.
who
20828
ordered the
Central,
condensation?
1328
Yeah,
Universal
really.
Time. Kate, everything is looking good.
Awesome news. Now, in order to make life multiplanetary, we need a fully reusable vehicle that's capable of
Our
carrying a
friend
huge
Zach,
amount of cargo
who is
and a
down
lot of
here
people
right
to
now,
orbit and have a
uh,
pretty quick turnaround.
has
The idea
already
is
gave
to effectively
tips to
reuse
people
launch
that
vehicles
who
just
are
like
tuned in
airplanes.
watching him
Yeah,
from
imagine if you had
the
to wait for a new
area.
airplane to be
He
constructed
says,
every
if you
time
see
you
a
wanted to
flash,
fly.
don't
You'd
take a
rarely
picture.
go
Throw your
anywhere.
camera
For
down.
most of us, it would be
Throw
completely
yourself to the
unaffordable.
ground.
In order for us to
Cover
get
your
to Mars
ears
and
and
back with
open your
lots
mouth.
of people, lots of cargo,
Yes.
multiple times, reusability really is a must.
In advance of our first missions to Mars, Starship will execute
I
a
actually want to
number
see the
of
first time
missions
that
with
thing
both cargo
works.
and
Yeah,
people, starting
that's
with Earth orbit and eventually expanding to the moon and beyond.
Now, in the near term and a bit closer to home, Starship will also be critical to other programs. Once fully operational, it'll deliver the full-size and upgraded version of our Starlink satellites, and that's super exciting because our next generation satellites represent
need
a
to get
step forward
a
in Starlink's
congressman
capabilities and will allow us to
to
connect
start a
millions
law
of more people around the world with high-speed
that
internet
says
to
that
watch
people that
launch
put stuff in
webcasts.
outer space have to
Such
clean
an
up their space
exciting
junk.
future ahead
Yeah.
of us.
I think
But
think
first,
that is an
let's talk a
international.
little about
And
how we
then,
got to where we are today.
well,
Now,
No,
Starship's
it
testing
really
then
isn't.
SpaceX can
July
start a
of
garbage
2019
service.
with our Starhopper
Oh yeah,
prototype.
they've
Sort of
got
a
the
short
machine to
version
do it
of the
now.
Starship that we see today. There's a great photo of it. It was
Build a
just
little
over
drone,
a
goes out, grabs the old
small. It
satellite,
had a
drags it
diesel
into the
Raptor
Starship,
engine, and we had it to test
I
fly
keep
and
thinking of
perform
this
low-level
really, really,
altitude
really, really
maneuvers and attempt
bad
landing. The
science
initial test
fiction
flight or hop
Space
reached about
Hunter.
20 meters in altitude.
No,
That
it
was followed
was
by the one that you've got on your screen
Garbage
here.
One
This
or
was our
something or other like
150
that.
meter altitude hop.
This
We
is what
went up,
started it all.
took a
This
little
little
jaunt away about 100
contraption
meters
right
or
here
so away from the
Mhm.
launch pad.
proved the
Used that Raptor
rocket had
engine
some
to fly
thrust.
and actually land. And actually, this hopper is actually down at Starbase now.
Yeah, I love this shot. It's just so fun to see it fly.
It's a flying
After a
R2D2.
series of 150-meter hop tests with earlier prototypes, the Starship program saw a major breakthrough during a test flight of the vehicle known
Now
as
this is going to be a
serial number 8,
suborbital flight,
or
right?
SN8.
Yes.
You can see it there on your screen now.
Sorta.
In December 2020,
Well, they're
SN8
going. From what I
demonstrated
heard,
a
they're going to
first of its
splash
kind
down near
controlled
Hawaii.
aerodynamic
Right. It,
Yeah.
it
descent
won't make a
and
complete orbit.
landing flip
Yeah.
So,
2 words, belly flop. The SN8 prototype rose to an altitude
But you could
of
get your
12.5
astronaut wings,
kilometers or
so.
7.8 miles and conducted
Yeah,
a
you
belly
could
flop
if you were
maneuver,
on
which you can
board.
see there,
Right.
during its descent. While it didn't stick the landing, the test was a major milestone in the development of Starship. In fact, we should be able
Y'all
to
please
see
excuse
that
me.
unfortunately
I
failed
still have
landing.
bronchitis.
Boom.
Yeah, I knew you.
Well, stop
Yeah,
getting
it's
that.
fun.
Watch though.
Rapid unscheduled disassembly, but learned
I
a lot
wish
of data.
I wish I could,
Now, the
hon.
testing continued
doesn't-
on to prototype
With
serial
me,
number
I had
9,
pneumonia when I was an
10
infant.
kilometer flight. That's
It
about
actually
60
nearly took me
miles
out.
up in February of 2021.
And
We had a nominal
evidently
ascent.
once you've
We
had it,
executed
it
the
makes you
engine
more
cutoff once
susceptible
we
to
got to
having
the
it
top of the
again.
altitude window.
Mm.
We
And
did
I've
that
had it
belly
more
flop
times than
maneuver,
I
which
can
is so much more
count
fun to say than controlled descent.
in the course
Aerodynamic
of my
maneuver.
life.
That was all
And I couldn't
stable,
even begin
but
to count the number of
unfortunately,
times I've had
we had a
bronchitis.
dramatic end on this flight as well. We had a failure on one of the engines
I will
that
say- Oh, I
remember
resulted
that one.
in another
Yeah.
pretty large
SN9.
fireball. But what was really cool about both of those flights was how much we learned
Kablam.
just between serial numbers 8 and 9,
Rud.
and how quickly we were able to achieve our primary objectives
Um,
in those two flights. In
I've
addition
had
to that,
both
we
pneumonia
got
shots,
so much
and
data that
actually
demonstrated
I've not
control
had
of the
pneumonia
vehicle in that
since.
subsonic regime.
But I have some rip roaring
Ultimately,
good
we
cases of
performed 9
bronchitis, I
Starship
tell you.
high altitude test flights in total. And then, as you see on your screen there, in May of 2021, SN.
I remember this one. This is the bounce.
Reached an altitude of about 10 kilometers, performed a number of maneuvers, and safely
It
returned to
landed,
the launch
it landed,
site.
and then it said, "I want to blow up
This
too."
was the first Starship prototype to fly, control its descent, safely land, and be recovered in one piece.
And
Oh,
people
no,
were
that was
cheering
50.
like
Yeah.
crazy
I was
after
one of
that
them.
test flight. Now, having achieved those successes in our suborbital campaign, one of the next big challenges is for the upper stage when it comes
It's
to
like
reusability
rocket
and
NASCAR.
surviving the
You
hypersonic,
really want to see them
really
win, but you also
high-heating
want to see
phase
them
of
crash.
entry. Combined with the later ability to refill Starship's tank with propellants, the
And
fuel
Stephanie, just to
oxygen
give you an
while we're on
idea of the
orbit,
size
that
of
will
this thing,
enable us to have
a
a
Saturn,
fully
a
reusable
fully stacked
transportation
Saturn
system
V
that's
with
designed
the
to carry
escape
both
tower.
crew and cargo
This
on
Yeah.
will be a
long-duration
shipping container.
missions, interplanetary flight,
Yeah.
and will help humanity get to the moon, travel to Mars,
Well,
and beyond in our solar system.
This is
I had
all,
a really
just
bad night last
basically
night. Sometimes
our
I just don't
paths
sleep.
of progress,
And
basically an iteration
last
on
night
each
was one of
vehicle.
those.
That part of the
I was
process
just
is a
starting to
core
doze
part
off
of
when the
how we
alarm went
work
off
here
this
at
morning.
SpaceX. We
But
like to test
I was
early
not
and
going to
often,
miss this.
publicly
So
as
I'm
well
here.
in our case.
All right.
And that's
I'm
what
Thank you
we
for
learn
showing
hardware
up.
and software.
Ever
And while it
famous,
doesn't
I
always
gotta
go
run
as
down the hall.
expected, we learn
Gotcha.
so much from it.
I'll
and
be
it
right
informs
back,
our
guys.
next attempt.
Yeah, we learn a lot from actually putting the
Yeah,
vehicle
like he's
through
gonna run.
flight-like tests. Even
Yeah,
the test
will.
on Monday gave us an opportunity
John,
to
can
learn
you
more about
pop
the
some?
vehicle
We got
into
a.
today's launch attempt, and so far things are looking really good. Now we are continuing into our countdown. We're about
Do we
2
have
we
a?
got
minutes to go.
Hang
I think
on, I'm
perfect
trying to
time
get
for
my
another
words
check-in
together.
with John Inspector.
I'm not awake yet.
Well, Shirley, the
Have
good
we
news
have
is
we
that,
got a
the
chat
next
in
sequence teams are
Messenger?
currently working. No significant launch vehicle issues.
We
You can see
can,
the
but
T clock there on your screen.
Well,
T-minus 12
I
minutes, 10
want
seconds,
a
and
way to
counting.
share
Propellant loading is
the
continuing on
link
both the
to
Super
my
Heavy and the ship stages. You
wall.
can see
Oh,
the graphic on the
where's
left-hand
that?
side of the screen. Most recently,
Stick it
we
wherever
began
you
loading
want
liquid
to.
oxygen and liquid methane
That
fuel
didn't come
into the
out
header
right at
tanks
all.
on Starship. This is 2 small tanks just underneath
Stick
the
the
nose
link
of the
someplace
second
I can
stage.
get to it easily,
Now that started at T-minus 27 minutes.
and
That'll
I'll
be
and I'll
wrapping up
share
at
it.
about
it's.
T-minus
Can you see right at the
That'll
top
be
of the
wrapping up
screen?
about
Oh, wait,
T-minus
you
9
might not be able
minutes.
to see it. It says
Now the
View
Starship
tab, something,
second stage
YouTube.com.
main fuel and LOX tanks are loaded
No.
for flight right
Or
now.
you can. Oh,
The super heavy
uh,
first stage booster propellant
you see
loading is
sharing
continuing.
at
That'll
YouTube
go till
StreamYard.
about T-minus 3 minutes.
Can you not see that? Okay.
We're underway with engine chill as we get ready for T0. And we're also
No.
configuring the launch pad for liftoff. The booster hold downs have been unlatched. They'll be ready to retract at liftoff. And the second stage quick disconnect is beginning its configuration for
Joe
release.
keeps moving stuff around
The
on me.
methane and liquid oxygen propellants
If
currently
you,
going
I can
second
see
stage.
where you
They'll
are
do that quick
in
disconnect.
chat,
That's that arm that reaches out from the tower to the
and
base
let me
of the
pull you
second
up, and
stage.
you can just drop it
The
into
SpaceX team
Messenger.
continues to check in with the Coast Guard. Good news is we've not heard any reports of
Oh,
boats.
and,
ask Joe the question.
As the launch
Is he
vehicle
back?
probably-
goes out
he
over
probably
the
knows
Gulf
what
of
button.
Mexico. So right now, T-minus
Joe,
10
can
minutes,
you
40
either
seconds and counting. Everything continues to go well for an on-time
give me the
launch.
link
Now,
so I can
today's
pop it on my
test flight
wall,
is
or
taking place out of our
something,
Starbase
actually,
or
facility
share it
in
yourself
Texas.
on my wall.
And that test
You
site
can
has gone
actually
through
throw
a
it up
huge
yourself.
amount of development over the last couple of years.
Up
One thing I want
there
to point out, this is a great
in
view
the
from our
top where
drone.
you see
Not
the
only
2
can we
channels that we're
see the
broadcasting
pad,
to,
but in the fog, kind of in the
there
distance,
is
in the
a
background
option
to the
to
left of the
add
pad,
your
you can
channels.
actually see our production facility,
Uh,
which is the other
I
part
don't
of Starbase
see
in addition to
where
the
we're.
launch pad.
I've,
Of course,
I've got
part of rapidly
sign up
iterating
free,
with our test
log
program, we're
in,
also rapidly
stream this to your
iterating on our
audience.
production
Yeah,
system.
that's
That's the
stream
one you
feed.
want.
Starship's
That's the one you
Super Heavy.
want.
Okay.
Last year, the Starbase team produced 4 Starship Super Heavy boosters and 5 Starships, along with their 200th Raptor 2 engine.
See, I don't have that one. Or when you
it's
have
important
admin, you don't
to
have
think
that.
for 2023,
Yeah,
okay.
So you-
production
I have
has
to
5 boosters and
log
8
in or
Starships
sign
going,
up,
so,
and I'm not
it's
sure.
Oh, okay, okay.
incredible, and it's
Just give
important
me
to
a
have
second
that
to
system,
find
Phil,
the actual
in basically the
link
manufacturing
here.
line, so that we have
Okay.
products
I think I've
ready to
got
go
an
as
account,
soon
but
as we're
right now I
done,
couldn't begin to tell you what
with
the
this
login
testing.
info was
Yeah,
for it.
exactly. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I mean, we talked
I'm
about how
working on
Starship
it.
is an order of magnitude more
Okay.
propellant, payload to orbit. But if you're going to go set up a base on the moon or Mars, you're going to need thousands of metric tons of propellant. So you're going to need
I'm
a
going
fleet
to
of
go
vehicles
silent for a minute
capable of doing
and
that.
listen to Zach's feed.
Yeah, one thing
All
to
right.
note, Starbase directly employs more than 1,800 employees. It's the largest employer in the area, in fact. And we're very thankful to Cameron County for being so supportive. This is a view from the Cameron
Okay,
County
I'm going to throw it
amphitheater.
in over at the private chat,
And
Stephanie.
there's a crowd there,
Okay.
and you could tell by the energy here in Hawthorne as well that
Much
everything's
thanks.
getting really exciting. I feel my own heart
Zach's
rate
not
going
talking.
up
He's
and up.
doing the same thing we're
I
doing
know,
watching
it
SpaceX.
must be really, really exciting to go see this. And I mean, just the sheer amount of power on Starship, you're going to feel it down there
We've
when
got
this thing
a
lifts off from the
huge
pad.
crowd.
We've actually got a great
Well,
shot
do they?
here of the natural surroundings around
well,
the pad.
Zach
Oddly
was saying
enough, most
earlier
of the
they're
pads end
estimating
up
1.5 million
being around sort of,
extra people on
wild
that
locations
island.
like this.
No way.
Wild locations like this.
That island would
Coming
sink.
up on T-8 minutes, I think it's another good time for check-in with John.
We're at 8 minutes.
Shiva, T-minus just over 8 minutes to the first test flight of Starship. Currently, we are pressurizing second stage. We are also closing out liquid oxygen and fuel header loads on the second stage. We're also getting ready for propellant load tank pressurization on the first stage. In fact, we are just now closing out header tank load on the second
I'm
stage.
curious to know what size
Now with the header
fitting they've
tanks
got on there for
loaded and
loading
closed
fuel.
out, that means we're down to just the first
That
stage.
thing holds a lot of. That thing holds a
Big.
lot of fuel.
Loading.
Yeah.
That'll finish
Big.
about
Probably
T-minus
8 to
3
10
minutes.
inch
At
diameter
that
pipe.
point, when both stages are loaded, we will have the 10 million pounds of liquid propellant on board.
I have to ask Zach
Now, in the
that
next
next time
few
I see him.
minutes, the guidance system will begin its final alignment for flight.
Of course, I bet there's a
during the quiet
YouTube video
period
tell
when
you all
the
about that
rockets aren't
tower.
doing anything. The automated flight termination system will be armed, and a final TVC checkout will be performed. Those are the engine wiggles, and hopefully we'll be able to see that with the cameras underneath the vehicle and maybe even the second
We're at
stage.
7
engines.
minutes to launch.
There's a view looking underneath
Now that
the
is
super
awesome.
heavy first stage with the 33 Raptor
And
engines.
Stephanie, if you notice, they got the
Now, a
numbers
reminder as
inside
we
the
continue
bells.
counting down, if we do need to hold, the point where we hold the clock would be at T-minus 40 seconds. We can
That
pause there.
sounded
Typically in the
promising.
past, if we need a little bit more time to finish final checkouts
That
or
needs
do
what?
some
That sounded
pressurization of
what?
the onboard storage
Oh,
tanks.
you heard the
Promise.
whoop in the background. So.
Ooh.
Currently,
He's
we're not
actually
using
at the
any
SpaceX facility.
So if
Yeah.
6 minutes,
He's their
44 seconds, everything
system
looks
integrating
good.
engineer.
Of course, Kate Shiva, as we get
Yeah.
close,
John,
Uh,
John
with
is the
engine
man.
ignition sequence
Who
of
it is.
33 Raptors, and that's going to be
That
something
name
new for
rings a bell to
everybody.
you, Stephanie.
I cannot wait for that moment. So, for
Well,
those of you that
I'm-
are familiar with how
Rucker.
we
I'm
launch
trying to
Falcon 9
share
rockets,
to a
you
few
probably
different
know
groups
that
here
we light all
Before
9 of
launch,
those
so hang on
stage
just a
Merlin
minute.
1D engines all at once. It's pretty different than what we do or what we're attempting to do today. We're actually going to be igniting those 33
Oh,
engines
come
in banks
on.
or clusters,
Jeez,
and that
Facebook
sequence
is
starts at T-minus 6 seconds.
Yeah,
slow
and the
today.
ignition sequence is a little bit different, both in terms of the timing and also the ignition method.
You
So
live,
on Falcon
you live in
9, we use a
Huntsville.
chemical called
Everybody there's
T-TAB.
probably on the internet watching this.
Materials. That means when you
Probably.
mix the two together, it produces a flame that kicks off that green characteristic spark on Falcon 9 missions. But actually on Starship, we use
You
electrical
know, I read
ignition
somewhere one
systems.
time that
Many of those are
20% of the
integrated
Earth's
on the ground
population
system
watched
here.
the first
And
Apollo, the Apollo
electrical
11 mission.
we start lighting the banks
When
I
it
heard it
first
was
took
more than
off.
that.
and then over the next 4 seconds, the 3 sets of
But
banks
you're
will
it's
ignite
oh
and eventually
come
bring
on.
the booster up to a thrust to weight greater than 1 and hopefully ascend.
Just hold
Super
still.
exciting. Like we said,
All right, we're
pretty
down
different
to
from
5
our Falcon
minutes.
9 launches, and so this will be the first time that any of us have gotten to see this type of integrated test flight with both the Starship and the Super Heavy booster.
Everyone's cheering as
That
we get into
also
The
quite
5-minute mark.
We want to
Yeah.
remind everyone that
They made it to the 5-minute mark without any stops. So
Yeah, it's fun down there. I'm gonna go join
And good morning, Chris.
morning, Chris.
for today.
Morning,
success
Chris.
is everything that we learned that helps improve the future builds of Starship. If we lift off and clear the pad, we're calling that a win.
a great shot of the pad there. Great shot of the quick disconnect on the second stage.
That is
All right.
cool.
You can see the
Literally.
frost
I've
falling on the
I've shared
booster
to
with that
everywhere I'm
is
going to share
just
to.
topped up.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Just
I'm
coming up
good.
on the last few
Oh,
minutes
you were
here
doing
of
multiple shares.
propellant fill on
Yes.
the booster. And that quick
I put
disconnect
it
is being
into
separated
4
away
different
as we
groups
actually
as
get
well
into
as
the
my
ignition
wall.
sequence, but it's providing electrical connections now and also providing the propellants that we're loading into
4
the
minutes.
vehicle.
Yeah. We're just now under 4 minutes until liftoff of the
I'm
Starship
not going to
flight
lie to you,
test.
people. I am nervous.
We've been following along
Nervous.
for
Yeah.
what honestly seems like days and days now.
No
but
reason
really,
to be nervous, Joe.
down to years.
It either will go or it won't.
To get to where we are.
And
Nobody
that's
on
it.
board.
If
You know,
there's
it's-
nobody on board, if
we
there's if
have the
they don't
opportunity
go,
to hold
it will be either a case of they
and
scrub
we are
it
able to hold
or they
there
have a
for
rut.
about 15 minutes.
Rut's
or
what's
up to
scaring me.
15 minutes, and still be able to
This
lift off.
thing,
Yeah, and that's a little bit different
what did we
from
estimate?
Falcon,
Hiroshima
for the
level
propellant sequence on
blast?
Falcon that,
No, it's not that
we
bad,
don't have the opportunity
but
to hold.
you're
So that's a cool new capability of
probably
Starship.
looking at about,
Right now, T minus 3 minutes. 10
depending on
seconds
where it
and counting.
happens, somewhere
Get
between
great
80
views
and
from the drone.
70,000 pounds.
It's nice that
TNT.
the fog is slowly lifting. We get some of the blue skies. Hopefully
Problem-
good views.
The thing is,
What we're waiting for
technically
right
it's
now
not an
is
explosive.
closeout of propellant loading
there's fuel
on
in
the
one
first
tank
stage.
and an oxidizer in the other.
That should be wrapping
Doesn't
up here
become an
shortly. In
explosive
fact,
until
it
they
looks like,
mix.
fuel fill and drain valves
At the
are coming
correct,
closed. That means first stage is
Yeah, exactly.
fully
And it
loaded.
won't be a
Second
perfect
stage fully
mix.
loaded. And at
So
10
if
million
there is an
pounds of
explosion,
propellant
most of the
on
fuel's going to
board
burn off anyway.
the Starship
But-
launch vehicle.
I want to take a quick moment to say that the crowd energy here is electric.
2
I
minutes,
feel like
30
it's Falcon
seconds.
Heavy test demo all over again.
And hopefully you'll hear us as we get into the plus count. But right now, next activity is coming up. The flight termination system arms at T minus 2 minutes.
all right,
Prospector
I just
control
put full
checkouts
screen.
at T minus 2 minutes.
Okay,
Then
you're
after
going to
that,
hear some more
major
screaming
activity
here in
will be
just a
the
second.
T-minus 40-second gate.
I'm going to bring that up
There's the
full
view
screen so
looking
I
up
can see it
at the
too.
33 Raptor engines. There are
Wow.
20 engines in a circle on the outside. And as Shiva said earlier, 13 engines on the center.
2 minutes.
Those are the ones that gimbal and steer the vehicle.
Cue the screaming.
They are in engine shield.
Oh, yeah, you can see the fog coming down. Okay. Literally. That's all the folks at SpaceX. They've been working real hard to make this happen.
Mhm. I'm surprised that I can't find anybody on TV that's actually covering this.
At the base of
Not
the Super
live.
Heavy booster. I
Well,
think we
it
can
is
Uh-huh.
a look at the engines gimbling.
Engine gimbal.
We're
Yeah,
currently
one of the
inside
last
90
things it's
seconds.
done is a gimbal test.
Next major activity, T-minus 40
And I
seconds.
mean, it was quick
That is
gimbal
a
too.
a decision
It
point.
wasn't, the slow
We're waiting
sweeps. It was
possibility
quick.
the
Yeah,
propulsion
well,
team may
they're
need a few
smaller
minutes.
engines and they don't have to gimbal as much because there's more of them.
Mhm.
Flight termination system is armed for flight. We're getting ready for T-minus 1 minute and counting.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Next, we'll see as we get past T-minus 40 seconds for final checks of the vehicle.
Any hold now is a scrub for the day. God, baby, fly.
Made it past 30 seconds.
Yep.
Oh, they're back to 40 and then 39. Yeah, there we go. They did their little 40-second check.
And it kicked back. Did you hear all the pause?
Okay, you can see the clock is recycled. Flight director has called a hold. We are recycling. For the moment, we'll see where they move the clock back to. They could hold at T-minus 40 seconds. They could go to an earlier point. Give us a minute to listen into the nets, and we'll see if we can get you more information to share.
Oh, this is what kills me.
I think the news is good. I did find a feed that is showing the launch
at T-minus 40 seconds. They could go to an earlier point. Give us a minute to listen into the nets, and we'll see if we can get you more information to share.
I've got my laptop with the feed here, and I've also got the TV on. And I think if what I saw flashed up there briefly was correct, the news is going to be good on the recycle.
This is probably why the news didn't go to it.
Yeah.
Countdown, hold for final launch checkouts.
Mm-hmm. So we got the last go, no go.
To the people tuned in watching us on Facebook, thank you for being here.
Yeah, they got some definite fog down there. That in and of itself, though, shouldn't be too awfully much of a...
Yeah, I bet they're debating it right now. I bet that's what the hold is, or one of the holds is. They're like, it's kind of foggy. Nope, go ahead. Elon Musk will say, nope, go ahead.
Elon wants the thing to go today.
He wanted to go Monday. But...
Well, better they scrub till and recycle till today than go Monday and have something go drastically wrong.
It's like the Rolling Stones said, can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes,
you get what you need.
They have already said if it clears the beach, it's a success.
If it gets off if it doesn't blow up the launch pad, it's a success.
Yes, we're good.
John Innsbrucker again here at the Hawthorne webcast desk. We're holding a T-minus 40 seconds. What we've heard so far is we have a couple of issues we're working. One is the booster tank pressurization. Final pressurization was just a little bit long. That's not unusual. We've held at T-minus 40 seconds before to pressurize. That appears to have been resolved. At the same time on the second stage, they're working some final purging. We should know very shortly if that is cleared and if we'll continue the countdown.
Everyone, especially that person, is excited to keep going.
I saw that.
Like John said, we should know shortly if we are able to continue. But as we mentioned before, we are able to hold up to 15 minutes and still be able to lift off today.
Yeah, I really need to get for you to get out from directly in front of me, okay?
We pretty much have to go at the targeted time, otherwise the propellants can warm
I can't
up
see a damn thing.
For that particular mission profile.
Except Cat.
A little bit different on
And
Starship.
folks,
we're going to buy Stephanie a laser pointer.
Clearing all the flags, and we're going to release at T-minus 40 seconds.
They're going to release at T-minus 40.
Okay.
Team working quickly through their issues on first and second stages.
Yeah,
I'm sure all of the rehearsals and simulations.
Oh, Cat, don't knock me offline.
Evaluate this data quickly to try to get us in for today's launch attempt.
Kitty cat.
For those of you just joining, we have a brief hold at the T-minus 40 second mark. The team is resolving one issue with the bleed purge on the stage 2 Raptors. Like John just said, the teams are quickly working that, and it looks like the flags are being cleared as we speak. So we should be able to resume the launch countdown.
I wish you could hear the purring.
And it's worth noting on Starship that once we resume the countdown, it restarts from the 40-second period, and then we keep going unless another condition pops up. So stick around because Starship
Sweetie,
could be going here
you
real
don't
soon.
need to be going in circles. You're not gonna get any better position.
Amazing views
This
here
is
coming
really
to
bad
us from
timing for me.
Starbase, Texas.
What? Whoa!
7, 6, 5, 4. Oh. Darn it.
Cheers.
15,
Oh my God.
10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come
There
on,
she
baby. Yes,
goes.
she's moving up. Come on, baby. Go, baby, go. Go, baby, go.
All right. Objective 1.
Booster upper chamber pressure is nominal.
I'm watching.
Now
Zach's,
that looks weird.
Zach's feed is ahead of ours.
Test flight of the inaugural Starship vehicle.
And it's already up 3
clicks
clicks.
over. Propulsion reports first stage engines nominal. What a sight from the ground cameras at Starbase. We're flying at twice the thrust.
This
of the
is a
Saturn V
big
heading to space.
darn rocket.
Acquisition of signal, this is Christie.
That's known as mission control going nuts.
All right. I've cut the
Going
audio
through the
back up a
period of
little.
maximum aerodynamic pressure.
They already hit max Q.
Yeah.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, that is
Oh,
cool.
we don't have all
As the
engines.
velocity increases, the density of the atmosphere is decreasing.
4 engines out.
Lessening stress on the
That may
vehicle.
be
The
the
call-out
limit
now.
for max Q. Remember,
Continuing to
the
watch
shuttle would
the
always
first stage
throttle
as we
down
head downrange.
and then throttle back up. So it may have
100 seconds into flight. Our next major activity is going to be
Acquisition of
shutdown
signal, Houston.
of the first stage. Houston Tracking Station now acquiring the vehicle. With shutdown, we will get separation of Starship from Super Heavy and ignition of the Starship engines. When
They got
Starship
separation.
separates, we light up 6 engines in a staggered sequence. If all goes well, those 6 engines will burn for almost 6.5 minutes. Onboard view from Starship. And there's views of the Raptor engines on the second stage as we prepare for stage separation. Now, after stage separation, the first stage will flip and begin a boost back maneuver for landing in the Gulf.
Come on. Let it
Continuing to fly, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Let's get ready for main engine cutoff.
Booster engine cut off.
Beginning the flip for stage separation.
Come on, let it go.
If we don't have a stage set, we got a problem.
A lot of
As
people
of
are
right
saying
now, we
problem.
are awaiting stage separation, where Starship should separate from the Super Heavy booster.
Yeah, Kate, right now it looks like we saw the start of the flip, but obviously we're seeing from the ground cameras the entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now. Obviously, this is does not appear to be a nominal situation.
Yeah, it does appear to be spinning, but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
Oops.
I caught
There.
Rapid unscheduled disassembly.
They lost too many engines. It's like
Everyone here
We got it off the pad.
to clear the pad and make it this far into the test flight, the first integrated flight of the booster and the Starship vehicle.
Live view there of our control
yep,
center
there they
at
on.
base, which we
Yep.
refer to as Star Command. As we said before, obviously we wanted to make it all the way through, but to get this far, honestly, is amazing.
Well, if you're just joining us, Starship just experienced what we call a rapid unscheduled disassembly, or a RUD, during ascent. But now this was a development test. This is the first test flight of Starship, and the goal was to gather the data, and as we said, clear the pad and get ready to go again.
Well,
so you never know
the good
exactly
news
what's
is
going to happen.
there's still a
As we
pad.
promised,
Yes.
excitement is guaranteed. And Starship gave us a rather spectacular end, but was truly an incredible test thus far.
As we mentioned at the start of today's program, any and all the data that we collected during the test is going to help us with further development of Starship, and it's going to improve the vehicle's reliability as SpaceX seeks to make life multiplanetary. It's really worth noting that the flight path was designed to be over water and all the air and sea space. Along with that flight path and those surrounding areas were cleared in advance of the test. And of course, we're going to be coordinating with local authorities for the recovery operations.
But honestly, what an exciting morning. Oh my gosh. We had a successful liftoff from Starbase, Texas.
It was a pretty
at
liftoff.
8:28 a.m. Central Time. We
I
cleared
was
the
wondering
tower.
why it didn't jump off the pad a little faster, and then of course
Cleared the
it
tower,
was
and
missing
all the
6
data we
engines.
collected all the
Yeah.
way through. All
Well,
those rapid
not
research,
only that,
although I
but
think we saw that 3
it
rapid
is
engines
so
were
big,
out.
it's not going to
But we
jump
got all
off
that
the
data,
pad
and we got so
very
far
fast.
to hoping to
I mean,
see
if you
the-
pay
the
attention
second stage
to
on the first
the
stage
old Saturn V
and
launches,
unfortunately, we didn't make that
they
happen.
take their time getting
It was
getting
the first
going. You
integrated
know,
launch,
the
and
bigger
honestly,
the spacecraft,
Absolutely
the
incredible day. We've
more thrust you've got to have
objectives,
to
getting boosters
accelerate.
all the way through the countdown.
And you're right. Part of the problem was the loss of
Jumped
engines.
through the gate at T-minus 40 seconds on the second try. Everything
And,
released, the hold downs, quick
you know,
disconnect arms, everything
not
goes out
wanting to
of
let
the
go
way.
of the ship
And then we
of the
got
second
vehicle
stage.
off the pad, threw 'em
Yeah,
back.
that's always going to be a problem. And what I suspect happened was
honestly,
that they may have ignited the second stage
no,
before
since we don't have
the first
Uh,
cleared.
of our
I was
rapid
watching it, and
unscheduled
it
system, at this
never
point,
ignited.
we're gonna end our webcast.
It went.
It never did.
It went to engine chill. It never ignited. Apparently, there's a maneuver it has to do to flip over before they separate it.
Mhm.
And it went to do the maneuver, and it never recovered.
And of course, a shout out to our viewers.
And it started doing that
We appreciate you
spiral.
joining us. And as always, we thank you for your interest in Starship, SpaceX,
Mm.
support. Till next time.
It's possible then that they did a range safety
That was
elimination.
Yeah.
It was a range safety. When they realized it wasn't going to recover from that spin, that they couldn't gimbal, they lost enough engines that some of the engines were gimbaling engines.
Oh, yeah.
They lost enough of the gimbaling engines. I don't think they could stop it from that spin. And when they realized it was stuck, they just, all right, got to blow it up.
Oh. The only thing I don't like about my background is that my hair is so light that it partakes of the disappearance.
We do have a fire at the pad.
Oh, we do.
Yes.
Do we have video of it?
Yes, I do. I cannot use audio, but something is on fire at the pad.
Well, with all those engines, it's not surprising.
And it's right there. Well, hold on. Let me get it over here. Let me get the fancy pointer out. It's right there.
Yeah.
And there's smoke from it.
Yeah.
Hope it's not the new crane.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Who parked that here? That's thick black smoke too. That's something oily.
Oh, yeah.
And there's another fire over there. Let me see if I can get. Okay.
You know what that looks like?
What?
Yeah.
Rubber roof mats.
Hmm.
There is a picture of it, the upper right showing.
2 fires.
Yeah. But since that feed belongs to another company, I'm going to have to pull that down. I can only show it
Okay.
a couple seconds. Uh,
John, I like your subtitle. Devious curmudgeon at large.
Yes.
Oh, and your background is duck and cover. Okay.
I was ready.
Well, I'm sorry that she didn't.
hey, what happened was a success.
Not as big a success as they could have, but you want me to turn the volume up on?
Yeah, turn volume up on Zach, please.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
Well, she launched. I don't know what more to say. We're here. That was absolutely incredible. First, congratulations to the entire SpaceX team, the NASA HLS team that's on site. Excited for this to be what we're using to get back to the moon. But to Elon, to the SpaceX crew, truly incredible flight. The darkness that you are seeing behind me is actually the plume. We're going inside.
Yeah.
Oh, is the fuel farm on fire?
Uh-oh.
Well, we may get our big boom anyway.
I hope not.
Huh.
What just happened?
I don't know.
Well, if you start seeing big chunks of stainless steel landing in and around the camera view, we'll know.
It should have been further downrange than that.
Yeah, but
I mean, a good 40, 50 miles downrange.
Yeah.
all the boats are heading back in real fast.
I expect, yes. That was. Go ahead, Joe.
I am going to other
Speaking of,
channels.
I'm going to check Discord and see what the rocket folks are saying.
okay. One of the is talking about the boats coming in. One of the reasons why, for a time, they were concerned about sabotage on the Challenger disaster was because the Russian trawler that was usually out there for launches wasn't.
Hmm.
And of course, that's the one that broke up in a similar location
Yeah.
to this and landed in the Gulf of Mexico. So, excuse me, that one landed off the East Coast. This one landed in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's why they had the range safety issue, because it would likely have overflown Florida. very
Oh
soon.
no, this one was going to go
okay.
in. This one was going to go in between Cuba and
Ah,
Cancun,
so it was okay. The inclination was taking it south.
and it was going to head over South Africa and then up through Malaysia, that area, and
Okay.
then splash in.
Okay, I found
North
out why
Carolina.
Zach had to run in.
Why?
It is now a sandstorm.
Okay.
But they
Oh,
left the
Elaborate, please.
All the rocket engines have created a sandstorm.
and he
5.5
left the gear. He left the camera out in the sandstorm.
Yeah, I would have shut the camera down and run in.
I would take the camera with me. I mean, sandstorm
Yeah.
ain't no good for. He's got a 3,000 millimeter lens on that thing.
Yeah.
That's-
Chris, how big is it? It's way bigger than a Saturn V.
Yeah, if you hollowed it out from engines to nose cone,
Hello, everyone.
you could put a
We are
fully
coming to you
stacked
now
Saturn
inside
V
the house.
with escape tower
We are
inside.
5.7 miles
It would be a
away.
shipping
We rushed
container
in there
on a
to,
Saturn V.
hold on. Want to take a picture. We had some very small black brown particles, almost like a dust, fall from the sky. It looks like it's stopped, so we'll back out
it
here
blew a
in
bunch
just
of
a
crap
second
up
and
into
get
the sky, and it was landing all around them. And it's just like little bits and pieces of rubber and asphalt, and whatever else the rocket blew up in the air.
Well, yeah, I mean, with something with thrust like that, you got to expect it's going to blow some stuff.
Of course, then
into the
again,
air.
it could have been bits of engine.
Possibly the ones that crapped out.
Yeah.
Do we know for a fact that it was the range safety officer that detonated it?
It was range safety, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I hear Zach moving around, or I think.
Are we still on, Jay?
Yes. Oh, wait, why am I yelling?
Yeah, he can't hear you.
I'm going to fix that problem. Hang on.
Okay, hello everyone. We are back. Jay, if you can get our camera back on. We have some pictures that we can pull up here from on our phone. I'm not too sure what this is, but if you're just joining us, hello. We are reporting 5.7 miles away from the pad where Starship had an incredible first flight. It made it through max Q and got to the point of stage separation. Started to give you an update on what a incredible flight is, and we started having almost like a dust debris start to fall. I don't know how clear this is going to come through on the camera, but we'll see. I don't know if Jay can pull me full screen here. But this was a debris dusting that started to fall. Absolutely everything is covered. It's a light dusting. It looks like it lined up with when the exhaust cloud reached us. Came very quickly. Not entirely sure what it is. It almost looks like some sort of like a dust. It started as more of a liquid, and it's dried off as a dust. It's not expected this is from the vehicle, but most likely from the exhaust that fell itself. We're slowly cleaning everything up here, but sorry for dropping and running there. We always want to make sure we're putting safety first, and with it falling as a liquid, we weren't sure what it was. We've all done a wash off very quickly. So we should be okay. But quite a quite a moment. Not something we were expecting to deal
what
with
happens
right
when you
after
mix
that
methane and
incredible
liquid
historic
oxygen?
flight.
And
But it has stopped. The sky's
is there
cleared
a
off. The
chemical
exhaust
reaction?
cloud is gone.
Yeah.
But quite the ending to a stream there. Apologies for not keeping that super pro there, but want to make sure that we put
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and
safety
pull
first
Zach
for our
back
crew.
in.
But
we know
if you're
he's
just
safe.
joining us, welcome here to the launch.
All right. Well, that was real interesting.
Yeah.
SpaceX is going to have to pay for some stuff now.
Okay, let's see here.
If you should, if you got a complete burn of the methane, you should just get carbon dioxide and water.
Of course, methane is toxic.
Oh, well, carbon dioxide and water. He said it was falling as a liquid, so it probably picked up the dust that it
That's
kicked
possible.
up.
Of course, it is Texas. There's no telling what type of oil processing chemicals they kicked up, or probably shrimp shell or something like that. You know, it's
Well, it launched.
Yeah.
I said, of course, I will tell y'all this. I did say I didn't like the separation mechanism that they had.
Yeah.
It has pins on the booster, and it set, little triangle pins that booster sets down on, and then the booster has a lock pin.
Okay.
And it was supposed to, do that pitch up and then unhook.
Yeah.
And separate them through. Evidently, that don't work.
No.
They said they didn't want to use explosive bolts. Guys, you might want to reconsider that thought now.
Yeah. There's a reason why NASA uses them. And the explosive bolts in and of themselves are not a danger. Whenever you're using a manual process, that's not what the mechanical process is. The word I'm looking for. Then you do run into the potential for malfunctions of various sorts, whereas with pyro bolts, you basically are blowing out of the way anything that could have gotten wedged.
Right. Yeah. Compared to what the engines are going to do, the explosive bolts
are nothing.
It's not a lot of energy.
Well, there was a brave individual.
What?
Somebody left their remote broadcasting car.
Okay.
So we'll wonder what that looks like. But it looks like the fire is out. Up here.
Yeah, that's a lot of smoke. That looks like smolder. Yeah. I'm willing to bet some sort of plastic or rubber or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the tires on that new crane they just bought.
Well, gentlemen, do you have any questions for me? If not, I'm going to get off the air and go back to bed.
Okay. And Stephanie, I will probably be calling you sometime around 6 o'clock this evening.
Okay.
Because I'll be just maybe a mile or two away from you.
All right. This sounds good. Are we going to have the podcast tonight?
Yeah, Stupid O'Clock will go, but I won't be there because.
Oh, I got to run that again.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to throw this up here for Chris real quick. This is a size comparison between the Saturn V system, which was 365 feet tall, the Sea Dragon that never actually got built, but boy, would that have been cool to watch long. And then this is supposedly what the SpaceX system will look like going to Mars.
No, that's the original concept.
No.
It's a completely different critter now. Yeah, what we
It's
saw
still about as tall.
Yeah. What we saw today did not even exist on paper in October of 2019. So to go from design to flight in 4 years, I think that's pretty. Is that unheard of, Stephanie?
That's pretty good. That's definitely pretty good. But that shows you what you can accomplish when you don't have Congress in the way.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Which is the reason why it takes NASA as long as it does, is because they have the Congress critters with their fingers in a pie.
Yeah. SpaceX announced earlier this week they just produced their 200th Raptor engine.
Cool. Now, with regard to the engines,
Yes.
let me just say that I understand where they're going from with using many smaller engines.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that it's just that many more things to go wrong, as we saw today.
Yeah.
So there's pros and there's cons to doing it that way, and I think we saw the cons today, unfortunately. And I mean, no disrespect to how they're doing it. It's certainly a very, very cool concept. And hey, it got off the ground. If they'd gotten the first stage to separate, I think they would have gone on for a successful full mission.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, even on the shuttle program, we had our various and sundry aborts. We had most people didn't know how many we had. We had the RTLS, return to launch site. We had the TAL, the transatlantic landing abort. We had the AOA abort once around, which really wasn't necessary, depending on what the engines were doing, wasn't necessarily a full orbit. We had landing sites prepared all over the world. They could have landed on the West Coast. They could have.
There was an old B-52 base, an old SAC base in Morocco that for a long time. For a long time, it was an alternate, but I think they closed that one down.
That would have been a TAL abort, a transatlantic landing. And then we had the abort to orbit. So those were the multiple phases of, and we did have early on, we had an abort to orbit mission.
And wasn't that Challenger that actually did the abort to orbit?
I don't recall, but that's a high probability. Let me see. Oh well, that was that. We had a couple. STS 51. STS 51 F was an abort to orbit. Space Lab 2. Yeah. No. Okay. Yes, you're right. That was the 8th flight of Challenger.
I was sitting, watching some stuff. They were talking about Challenger, and Challenger had quite a few incidents.
Yeah.
High-profile incidents.
Well, each one of the shuttles, Columbia was actually the oldest.
Oh yeah.
And each one of the shuttles was basically custom built, and they learned from Columbia, so that there are differences, even down to how the thermal tiles are shaped and applied. They learned how to become more efficient on later birds.
Yeah, because Challenger was smaller than Columbia and what was the other one? I'm trying to remember which one was the really small one.
Challenger, Columbia,
Atlantis, Endeavor.
Atlantis, Endeavor. Which one was the replacement for
Endeavor?
Endeavor. So Atlantis. Who was the fourth one?
It was actually just a hair shorter, if I remember correctly. Like they knocked out 5 feet in the bay or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Well, there's Columbia, Atlantis, Challenger, Discovery.
Discovery, that's the one I keep.
Discovery, that's the one.
Discovery was
I
the
don't think
bait.
I ever watched Discovery.
Was
Yeah.
Discovery the favorite of NASA for some reason?
Not that I'm aware of. Why?
Because it was the one that
They named all the schools after it. Discovery Lab or Discovery Center.
yeah. Well, the Challenger Center is the
Oh, is that the Challenger? Okay, I remember Discovery Center for a while, but
yeah. June Scobie lives up on Signal Mountain, just right from us. Yeah, the Chattanooga Challenger Center was the first one.
wasn't it the Discovery Center at first though, and they changed it after the incident? Or am I misremembering?
No, the Challenger Center is because of Challenger.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to wrap up our big coverage. I mean, hour 17 minutes. SpaceX followed through with their promise of it was going to be exciting.
Hi.
Oh no,
Hi.
it's Space Cat.
Space Cat has arrived again.
Stephanie, in the on the SpaceX page, it gave a countdown list, and at T0, they had excitement guaranteed. Not in, lift off, excitement guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Well, they managed it.
Yeah. Oh, and the fire has flared back up.
Oh no.
I mean, it looks raging now.
Pop it up there so we can see real quick, and then we'll cut it.
All right.
This is
Gracious, yeah.
This is what the launch facility used to look like.
Yeah.
It's if it ain't there tomorrow, you saw it last here.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen of the audience, we'll catch you on the flip flop.
Well, wait a minute. I'd like to thank our rocket expert, Stephanie Osborne, for showing up here at the show at the last minute. Even with bronchitis, she toughed it out. I'm proud of you, girl.
I try.
And, of course, Joe for dragging me out of bed to watch this darn thing. So,
Well, hey, you got to see your favorite thing, something explode.
well, it didn't really explode that good. I mean, it's more like a traffic accident.
I was waiting for
It was a big traffic accident. It was still a traffic accident.
Yeah.
Now, when it started doing its spinning, I said, okay,
Yep,
we're gonna
they
blow
lost
it up.
it.
We're going to blow it up. Come
I
on,
was
blow it
wondering.
up.
I was wondering with all those gimbling engines if they could have corrected it. I was really like, okay, I want to see if this thing could perform.
Judging from some of the venting that I saw, I think they were trying. and
Yeah.
couldn't. But I mean, it wouldn't have done any good, because if you cannot jettison the first stage, then you cannot ignite the second stage engines, and it was going to come down anyway.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm wondering if it didn't jettison because they couldn't get the right attitude. Like, it's like a safety thing. We're not gonna break it off until it's pointing in the right direction.
Maybe, but it was.
Yeah, that's possible if it required a very, very specific attitude in order for the jettison mechanism to operate.
Right, and that.
But if that's the case, then it's a bad design.
Well,
Yeah.
that may have been
There is no jettison mechanism. It's just locked in, and when it does this pitch up maneuver, they pull
the
the
locking pin's supposed to have fallen out.
Yeah, and when it unlocks, it's supposed to unlock and then do a pitch maneuver.
So being locked may be a safety feature, because if they're still together, you only have to blow up one really big rocket, not two really big rockets. So,
okay.
All right.
They need a redesign of the
yes, definitely
of the first stage set.
Well, that's why it was a test.
All right.
If you folks will excuse me, I've got to go launch a lawnmower.
All right. Y'all have fun, guys. We will see y'all whenever we come up again. Just keep an eye out. We'll notify when something launches worth watching. All right. We'll talk to you later. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good day.
Have a good day. See you later.